Delivery service. Just some burglars. Just some prowlers prowling around. Nothing to worry about. No one's home.
Nothing has changed. It's like one of those homes created for tourists, like a replica. Like where Anne Frank hid.
So, are we going to do it in your high school bed?
Your constant sexual references to my teenage years are a little concerning. But to answer your question, probably.
Vamos!
Seriously?
What? What?
My father and I used to play chess. From when I was about 7 or 8, he always won. Always. This game we never finished. He needed to take a break and we never got back to it. A few weeks later, he died. Mother wouldn't let anybody touch the set. It was kept exactly as it was. But 2 months later, I moved to California, and now, after all these years, my mother thought he was a genius, as did he, which he was, but look at this place. The books, the chess set, the records, the slippers. It's a museum of his artifacts.
So whose turn?
Black to move. Yeah? You've got it figured out?
I play chess.
I've never seen you play chess.
Why do you always act like I couldn't possibly do anything that requires any intellect? Dr. Jet Joyce, PhD of film theory, of cinema, Chaplin, Fellini, Goddard, and I'm just some idiot who makes mindless entertainment for millennials with no attention spans.
I don't think that of you.
But you do. I can tell, even now. You think I'm like some 10-year-old who just got a copy of my first chess set and learned from reading the instructions printed on the bottom of the box top that the horsey makes an L shape. I'll have you know, I used to be a pretty decent player.
You'll have me know.
I will have you know, yes.
Fine. Black's move. What should he do?
I've got a better idea. How about we go upstairs and you can model your varsity tennis outfit? What?
I told you not to come. Anyway, I played field hockey.
Oh, Jet.
The door was unlocked.
Mother, it's been a while. Thank you for hosting us.
Of course. You're our daughter. How was your flight?
It was a flight. Oh, there was an attempted hijacking. They killed the pilot. Flynn and I had to fight them off with plastic forks. And then I landed the plane while being instructed by air traffic control. And the Wi-Fi was spotty.
6 years. I thought you would have cut your hair. I'm sorry I'm later than I was intended. Student conferences on analysis papers. All of my colleagues complain that students can't read anymore, but I thought some of them proved quite perceptive.
Mother, this is Flynn. I wrote that he might be coming.
That's right. You make television.
It's not really television, it's streaming. On Bolo? It's like television, yes. My show is kind of this mashup of 70 genres. It's like a combination of cheesy sitcom and violent vengeance film. Imagine something like Three's Company meets Death Wish. Not really a parody, but more of a knowing homage. Like a postmodern take.
Do you know what Jet's father said about postmodernism? He said there was no such thing, that it was really just modernism that had been left out too long and started to stink. In any event, you must be tired after traveling.
I always found it odd when people say that when all you do on a flight is sit and read and sleep.
I think some people find it stressful, Jet. All the worrying about getting there on time, the lines, the security checks, delayed flights. And often people are coming from a place they don't want to leave and going to a place they don't want to be.
We're fine.
Excellent. Then I'll put some dinner together. Are you ready for your interview tomorrow?
Yes.
Who are you meeting with?
Stuart Wood and Donna Letsky.
Never heard of them.
They co-chair the department, Film and Visual Studies.
That explains it. Do they know who you are?
You mean Philip Joyce's daughter? They do. I didn't mention it, but they asked.
I thought so.
It won't make a difference.
That's pessimistic.
It's not how I meant it.
Nice place.
I pictured you with shorter hair. Flynn, perhaps you're used to people saying grace before dinner. But the tradition at this house has always been to start each meal with a poem. Would you like to lead us?
Oh, well, that's a nice gesture, Helen. But no. Jet?
In the desert, I saw a creature, naked, bestial, who, squatting upon the ground, held his heart in his hands and ate of it. I said, "Is it good, friend?" "It is bitter, bitter," he answered, "but I like it, because it is bitter, and because it is my heart."
Thank you, Jet. Perhaps not a choice I would have made at the start of a meal, but well recited.
Yes, that was lovely.
I don't get a lot of news, so I'm not sure how the two of you met.
It was about a year ago at a conference on the future of narrative motion-based media.
I saw her disinterested face across a crowded room and was instantly smitten. I think she's starting to warm up to me, too.
Jet's never been one to show much emotion. The last time I recall seeing her cry was on the vineyard when she was a child and stung by a hornet.
Oh my God, you get it. We were watching this movie last month. It was that thing with the guy, remember? And so at the end, he's at his son's grave. And you remember, Jet? And so I'm a mess, and tears are running down my face, and I look over at her, and nothing. Just nothing. Like a bank vault. like a refrigerator.
She's a cool one, our Jet. She didn't even cry at her father's funeral.
This chicken is delicious.
It's eggplant. Thank you.
Jet was telling me about your ex-husband. Late. I'm sorry. Right. Late husband. She said he was some kind of famous professor.
Did she?
Not in those terms, but that was the gist.
He was a brilliant man. He was one of the most brilliant men in the country.
That must explain where Jet got it.
Got what?
Her smarts. She's like the smartest person I know.
Well, sure, but Philip, he was a rare intellect, but not an easy one. It can be hard to thrive in the shadow of a person like that. I can somewhat understand why Jet decided to go to graduate school in California.
No, that's not. It had nothing to do with father. I told you why I went. I had opportunities there.
You had opportunities here.
Not the same opportunities. And I had other reasons.
Such as?
The weather, for one. I'd had it with the cold. In fact, I remember the precise moment I decided to go. It was February, and I woke up late and was running to class, and I asked you what the temperature was, and you said 3. And I thought 3 should never be the answer to what's the temperature. 3 should be the answer to how old is your niece, or how many pancakes do you want?
And yet now you're considering returning. Why is that? It hasn't gotten any hotter.
Global warming.
One of the most prestigious universities in the country wants to interview me for a tenure-track position. I'd be mad not to follow up.
Jet, just
what?
Just don't get your hopes up. I don't want to see you overly disappointed. You must at least consider the possibility that this is a courtesy interview.
Courtesy?
I mean, they didn't even put you up in a hotel.
I didn't ask.
They would have offered.
I think you're gonna get it. You've got the academic record, you've got the references, the publications. Oh, did she tell you about her dissertation?
She did not.
Tell her about your dissertation, babe. What was the title?
The work of film in the age of digital production.
It's really something. I started reading it, and I couldn't even understand half of it. That's how smart she is. Eisenstein. Oh. Sorry. I have to get this. Hello? What's the good word, Janet? You did? That's what I was afraid of.
He calls me Eisenstein. It's a play
I
on...
get the reference. He seems nice, though I suspect he's the kind of man who uses words like synergy and tits.
He's quite creative. His show is clever.
Clever. Now there's a quality to aspire to. Still, he's crazy about you, obviously. But if you don't love him back, I wouldn't let him linger.
I was gone a long time.
You were, yes. You're not hungry.
It's a little early for us. California time.
Of course. Silly me. I didn't even consider that. Why didn't you say something? Here, I'll take your plates and you can warm it up later.
No, you don't have to.
Otherwise, it'll go to waste. I hope you don't mind I'm finishing my dinner. I left your wine out for you. Did I frighten your boyfriend away?
He's still on the phone. Why'd you say that?
Say what?
Why'd you ask if you'd frightened him away?
I might be frightening. Apparently I frightened you away.
Look, it's obvious you're hurt, but...
Hurt? Why would I be hurt? Because my only child left me 2 months after my husband died and didn't return for 6 years?
You make it sound like I abandoned you.
What else could you possibly call it?
I had opportunities.
Oh yes, and then there was the cold.
I was in touch all the time. I called, I emailed.
Of course, the bi-monthly email. Hello, Mother. The weather's nice. Hope you're well. Jet. Now you decide to come back? Now that you can flaunt your PhD and your groundbreaking dissertation and your Hollywood boyfriend? Am I supposed to praise you, Jet? Am I supposed to fawn over you and welcome you back?
That's not it.
And an interview at Vineberry? I'm supposed to be impressed. Impressed that you might teach where your father taught? That this means that you've proven something, that you're his equal. You don't need to measure yourself against him, Jet. He's been dead 6 years. Let it go.
You mean the way you let it go? There's a chess set in the living room that hasn't been touched since he touched it. I can almost see him in there. his papers, his clothes. You're like the wives they buried with the god kings of ancient Egypt, decaying alongside him in a monument to his greatness.
I know he's dead, Jet. I know you might think it's silly that I kept his clothes in the closet, that I set an extra place at the table. I did that for me. I had no one.
You had no one when he was living. How do you not see after all this time how he treated us? Never a word of encouragement, never a word of approval for either of us. He only wanted our adoration. And he couldn't escape that despite his accomplishments and his books and his awards, that he meant very little.
Still the need to diminish him. He was internationally recognized.
I ask 100 people on the street who Philip Joyce is, and maybe 2 or 3 of them recognize the name. More people know Flynn than know Philip Joyce. In the world outside his little academic circle, he was nobody, and he knew it. And he took it out on both of us.
He was tough on you because he wanted you to be great.
He was tough on me because he was threatened by me.
By you? That's absurd.
His constant criticism, his dismissal of any successes I had as unimportant or unworthy, he couldn't tolerate the competition.
This would be comical if not so shameful.
He was threatened. He was so threatened by me that he couldn't even stand to lose a single chess match to his daughter. He lied to avoid losing. There's your great man.
He was ill.
I had mate in 3 moves. He saw it. He was so brilliant, he must have seen it if I did.
This is hateful nonsense.
You want me to show you?
Where are you going? Jet!
It's check. Black to move. His only
Don't
legal
touch
move
that.
is to move king to king's rook 1.
Jet!
I play rook
Put it back!
to king's knight 8. He's gotta capture
Stop
the rook.
it!
I move my queen to king's bishop 7. Check.
Stop
His
it!
only escape.
Stop it! That's not where it goes.
Dr. Joyce? Dr. Joyce, they're ready for you.
Well, it's not what he said. But what he meant to say, or what I think he meant to say, was, "Come in. Dr. Joyce, nice to see you in person.
Good morning, Dr. Wood.
Call me Stu, please. This is Donna Letsky, my co-chair.
Good morning, Donna.
Have a seat. I was just talking to Donna about your father. She didn't join us until after his passing. Brilliant man. Brilliant man. To be honest, he kind of intimidated me. I can recall once, very early in my time at Vinebury, must have been 20 years ago. I was this panicked junior faculty attending one of my first meetings late, of course, and the only chair is next to Dr. Joyce. So here's this legendary figure that I slink into the seat next to, and he turns from the conversation he's having and says to me in that stern, patrician voice of his, he says, "And who are you?" And I said, "Stu Wood, sir. I teach film studies." And he looks at me with this disapproving glare and simply says, "Movies," and turns back away to continue his conversation. I felt so trivial. He was a giant, and we still miss him. But I apologize. I've just been talking endlessly.
Sounds like one of your classes.
Actually, pretty close. You never know what students are going to say. My policy is, don't pause long enough to give them a chance. But I shouldn't say that, even in jest. You received the itinerary. You have several meetings today and the mock lecture, which we can go over in a moment. But first, the HR questions. We have to start with these, college policy. Best to get them out of the way, then we can have a real conversation. How does that sound?
Great.
Let's see. Here we are. Jet, why do you want this position at Vinebury?
Well, Stuart, Donna, see. Sorry.
No problem. Just start over and take your time. Do you need...
I've been thinking about you, Daddy, thinking of you night and day. I've been afraid that you'd leave me, Daddy, leave me to go far away. Think of the day when we first met each other. You promised me that we'd be good pals forever. Dear, don't you leave me. It sure will grieve me.